Betrayal doesn't just break your heart. It shatters everything you once believed in. It turns love into hatred, trust into vengeance, and a once perfect marriage into a battlefield. I thought my wife, Melissa, was my soulmate. We had built a life together, spent years supporting each other, and I never once doubted her loyalty. But one night changed everything. I walked into my own home and found her with a young, aspiring writer, a man half my age, someone she claimed was just a friend. She thought I would scream, break down, or beg her to stay. But I did none of those things. Instead, I made sure that when she left with nothing. No house, no money, no security, and certainly no happy ending. She thought she could play me for a fool, but she had no idea who she was messing with. This is the story of how I turned my wife's betrayal into the most brutal revenge she never saw coming. Before I dive into how I exposed her, humiliated her, and ensured she regretted every decision she made, make sure to subscribe to this channel. We share real-life betrayal stories that prove karma is real. If you love stories of cheating, shocking twists, and ultimate revenge, hit that subscribe button now. Now let's begin. My name is Daniel, and I'm 45 years old. For the past 18 years, I was married to Melissa, a woman I believed to be my forever partner. We met in our 20s, built a comfortable life together, and enjoyed everything that came with a long, stable marriage. I worked in finance, earning a six-figure salary, while she chose to pursue her passion for writing, though she never really published anything significant. I supported her dreams, paid for her writing retreats, even funded a private office space for her so she could focus on her craft. In return, all I wanted was loyalty, but apparently, that was too much to ask. Looking back, I should have noticed the red flags. She started talking about a new friend. His name was Jake, and according to her, he was a struggling young writer in his 20s who needed guidance. She suddenly became more secretive with her phone. She had always been open about her texts, but now she tilted the screen away whenever I walked by. She started dressing differently. More effort, more perfume, more excitement in her eyes when she went to write. She began staying out late, always at writing workshops or brainstorming sessions at cafes with Jake. She became distant. When I tried to initiate intimacy, she'd brush me off, claiming she was tired or too stressed about her novel. But the biggest sign? She stopped looking at me like a husband. One Friday evening, Melissa told me she was going to a late-night poetry reading and would be home after midnight. That was fine. I trusted her. But then something happened that made my stomach drop. A close friend of mine, Matt, sent me a text. "Hey man, thought you should know I just saw Melissa at a fancy restaurant. She's not alone." I felt my pulse spike. I called Matt immediately. "Who's she with?" "Some young guy. Brown hair, slim, looks like a kid." They were laughing and holding hands. Jake. I didn't waste another second. I grabbed my car keys and drove straight to the restaurant. I walked in and immediately spotted them. Melissa was sitting across from Jake, giggling, leaning in too close and holding his hand across the table. There was no hesitation in their body language. This wasn't a friendship. I walked up to them calmly. Melissa's face drained of color when she saw me. "Daniel, what are you doing here?" she stammered. Jake looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. I smiled. "Enjoying a romantic dinner, huh? Funny, because I thought you were at a poetry reading." She tried to talk, tried to spin a lie, but the panic in her eyes told me everything. I could have exploded right there. I could have caused a scene. But I didn't. I just smiled, pulled out my phone, and snapped a picture of them together. And then I walked away. Melissa didn't come home that night. The next morning, I greeted her with divorce papers. She gasped. "Daniel, please, let's talk about this." I chuckled. "Talk? Like the way you talked to Jake last night?" She was shaking, begging, crying. But it was too late. I had already set my revenge in motion. I froze all our joint accounts. She had no money of her own. I had funded everything. I canceled her credit cards. No more shopping sprees, no more fancy dinners. I evicted her from my house. She had 30 days to get out. I sent the picture of her and Jake to all our friends and family. She was exposed, but I wasn't done yet. Melissa thought Jake was her new beginning, her exciting young lover. She was wrong. I did some digging and found out Jake wasn't as innocent as she thought. He had a girlfriend. He was using Melissa for money and connections. He had a reputation for playing older women and then dumping them, so I made sure Melissa knew the truth. I had a mutual friend casually send her a picture of Jake with another woman, his real girlfriend. Melissa lost it. She tried calling Jake, but he blocked her. She tried coming back to me, but I'd already moved on. She thought she could cheat and start fresh with a younger man. Instead, she ended up alone, broke, and humiliated. A few months later, I saw Melissa at a coffee shop. She looked different, not happy and glowing like before. Just empty. She walked up to me. "Daniel, I'm sorry. I made a huge mistake." I smirked. "Yeah, you did." She reached for my hand. "Can we try again?" I laughed in her face. "No, Melissa, you had your chance. You threw it away for a kid who didn't even want you. Enjoy your life." And then I walked out. Cheaters never win. Melissa thought she could trade me in for something new and exciting. She thought she'd get away with it. But karma came for her, and me? I walked away with everything. My dignity, my money, and my freedom. If you loved this story, hit that subscribe button for more real-life cheating stories and revenge tales. Because sometimes the best revenge is letting them suffer in their own mistakes.